Wow, you're fast. Camera guy even barely got me a chance to. Hold on. How do you look? You look all right?
I always look bad, but I mean,
You ready to go?
once you've lost your reputation, everything goes very easy from there.
Work with me.
Okay.
Påfåder.
Påfåder. There you go.
Treinspoor.
Treinspoor. Doing well.
You have a little more like Dracula type thing when you. That's good. Skerpion.
Skerpioen. There you go. For that you got 90%.
Soldat.
Soldaat.
Okay. Skurfberg.
Skurfberg.
Berg. My wife's Swedish. I should have known that one. There's a berg. Okay. Kokerboom.
Kokerboom. You'll get there. You just need to drink enough of it.
Footpad.
That's good.
Okay, I remember
Footpad.
that. What's a mev?
Mev is like Mrs. So it's Mrs. Kirsten.
Mev Kirsten. My sister's name is Kirsten. That's cool.
That's it.
And Columella I can wrap my face around.
That's easy.
No, it's no problem. Guy next to me, Eben Sadie. One of the greatest winemakers you may have heard of. You know, you make a lot of wines, but you don't make a lot of wine.
That's absolutely correct. I actually 20 years ago said I'm only going to make one wine.
How'd that turn out?
Well, sometimes we land a little bit short of what we set out to do, so that's been the case, yeah.
The nerd's nerd, the geek's geek, and one of the pioneering winemakers and vineyard guys in South Africa. Because like you said, we had a seminar earlier, and this was truly remarkable tasting, of which we would go into extensive detail, but we only have 12.5 minutes. What I will say though is I was compelled by the fact when you talked about I don't spend that much time in the winery.
I don't spend much time in the winery at all. It's the most boring place on the planet. How many times do you really need to put a pipe on a tank?
Yeah. Well, in theory, probably once, right?
Yeah, for bottling.
Yeah. The action's happening out here.
Always in the vineyard. Always in the vineyard.
These different single vineyards, all vinified in their own, well, pretty basic way.
Yes, we kind of, I think a wine needs a home. And I've spent a lot of time, it took me a long time to figure out in terms of the aging of the various wines. Every wine on the planet has a different oxygen requirement or a different stabilization requirement. And when I started in 1998 to produce natural wines, it became for me very evident earlier on that, the most important thing is to find out what type of a vessel or aging regime or anything is pertinent to a specific site, so that wine, by the time you bottle it, naturally have reached stability. Because if you can't use preservatives or anything, the wine better be damn stable when you bottle it. Otherwise, you're going to get into the super geek freak type of style of wine. And I don't want to raise animals in my wine, just the terroir. So our winery today doesn't have barrels anymore. It's got concrete eggs, clay amphoras, old wooden foederers, and every wine's got a specific home that it goes to every year. And all these vessels have different rates of respiration and breathing, and you got to figure out how every site works so that by the time that you bottle your wine, that it's oxygen stable but not oxidized.
Right.
That's the whole gig, I think.
When it comes down to making the wines, I like the analogy that you used earlier, talking about coffee and tea.
No, absolutely, especially for reds.
Yeah,
I think there's two trains of thought and two schools for winemaking. I would say it's fair to say when I was much younger, 20 years ago, when you're 28 years ago, your testosterone goes over your brain, and you're driven and you're amped and you want to push, and you're going hard and you want to prove yourself, and you got to cut away at the block. At that stage, I was extracting a lot, over oaking, picking possibly too ripe, but with extractions and fermentation. That type of vinification is more like coffee making. It's quick, fast extraction. Today, we couldn't make wine any different. Today, we're making wine like you make tea. It's more fusion. It's more sitting there soaking. There's no extraction going down. It's just sitting in presence as opposed to just pounding things. So we're away from the heavy pigeage scene. We're away from the ripeness and everything. Because if your terroir is good, you don't need to extract anything. Everything that needs to be communicated in that wine already is in that juice. You just need to be like humble about it and patient about it, and the wine will come to par. But then you must have faith in your vineyards, and you'll only have faith in your vineyards if you actually worked in your vineyards.
Well, I was going to say the whole tea thing only comes into play when you have diligently chosen sites.
Absolutely.
I mean, these weren't just you threw a dart at the wall and went, Skurfberg, let's do it. No. These were hand selected by you.
This took a serious long time to put together.
Yeah.
This spread on the table. The Old Vine series is about, South Africa had a very bad history up till, say, 1992. And for us as young South Africans, nobody actually almost wants to look beyond 1992 because it just represents bad. But it's like that never really happened.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Check, please.
But the reality is that although the country was messed up and policy and politics and all of that, it doesn't mean everything went bad. There was also at the same time, parallel to that, some great things going on. Yeah. And some amazing vineyards were planted in our country, and amazing vineyards got preserved. We've got some of the highest per capita quantities of old vine white vineyards in the world. The Swartland, our appellation's probably it's for sure one of the most populated old vine sites in the world. That's parallel to parts of the Roussillon and areas like that. That's really just all Collier, all those areas. That's, you almost don't see young vineyards parcels. It's all just old. So we've got a lot of that, and this whole series is about bottling historic parts of our history that played significant roles as the timeline rolled on from, say, late 1800s. This vineyard was planted in 1887 up to our most recent vineyard, this vineyard that was planted. This is our only grafted vineyard. This vineyard was planted in 1974. So we've got the whole spread here from 1887 to 1974.
Was there ever a danger, did you ever hear about the Australian, the government vine pull scheme?
No.
Was there ever any danger of that with these vineyards, or were these vineyards just basically just relegated to, they're out there and no one really gave much thought about them?
No, we never had a scheme like that, but what did happen, and you can never separate politics from wine, they're always so sort of intertwined in one way or another. When we were sanctioned, what happened is, in sanctions, the only thing we could do, because we were going into overproduction, is to get down to distillation. So the whole country took on a distillation mentality, which is big yields. And the other thing that happens is, in a distillation era, the base wine for distilling wine, essentially great base wine is made from white and not red. So we lost a lot of our old red wine vineyards in the distilling era because there was no real room for them. Yeah. But at the flip side of the coin, a lot of our old white wine vineyards was preserved, and that's why today South Africa in the New World's the country with the oldest white wine vineyards, because of our distilling era, which makes us unique. Yeah. Here in California, you've got old Zinfandel, and you've got old Grenache, and you've got one or two old plots of Cinsault, and the Australians have got their Mauvert and old Syrah and old Grenache vineyards, and the guys up in Salta in Argentina have their old Malbecs. So the red presence is there in the New World, the old red presence, but nowhere there's an old white presence as is the case in our country. So that's our history, and that's why there's 5 white wines in the Old Vine series and only 3 reds, because the white was the most prevalent in that era.
Did the bookend wines kind of inspire you to do the middle section, or was the Old Vine thing always potentially in play for you, or how did... were you making Coolamella and going there's so much more out there, and how did...
I just wanted to do Coolamella and Palladius. They're 2 regional wines, so they blends of multiple vineyards, multiple soil types, multiple grape varieties, because our climate is Mediterranean and it's not down to one single monovarietal. Yeah. That's not our blueprint, and it's never going to be. Monovarietal wines are for cool continental, those kind of climates. When you're in the Mediterranean, all the varieties can grow really well, they can produce good grapes, and it's down to blends to build up complexity. Because the climate is generous, you won't get that complexity as you might get through a more difficult climate like in the Loire or in the Mosel or in Burgundy or whatever. So our complexity very much at large comes from blends. And I just really wanted to do the Colomello and the Palladius. And the first 10 years at the Sadie family, I only did the Colomello and Palladius. I didn't do anything else. It was a complete directive focus to get the signature white and red to standard. And after the first decade, you know, having worked with these, I met all, like, so much vineyards, and I never stopped looking. I was always digging. A great friend of mine, Rosa Kruger, is one of the best viticulturists in our country, and we're always exploring, always pushing, always finding out, always reading, always searching, driving. And so this was all like starting to build up in the background. I worked in Spain for 10 years in working with old vineyards, and it was like, hang on, you know, everybody, why am I making old vines or single cuviers up there? I should do down in South Africa. And I started with, this was the first old vine bottling, and you know, the rest just came periodically online, and it's one of the most legitimate projects that I've taken on. And for the next decade, I'm focusing on this again. And then after that,
who knows?
Well, who knows?
And after that, you surf.
Surfing, very important. That's why I only produce 4,000 cases. I need 2 days, 3 days a week to be in the ocean.
Did some technical research, found out of 5,000 cases, surfing time diminishes by about 30-40%. Simply not allowable.
Dude, 5,000 cases is just not going to wash. It's just not going to wash.
You can't just call time out and stroll on into the beach if you don't like the way things are going.
They're not going to have to do Excel spreadsheets and do emails and all that nonsense, and that stuff's just not going to work for me.
That would suck. Just stick to this.
No, this is much better. I like leaving early in the mornings and be in the vineyards the whole day and be with my guys, and we fry eggs for breakfast in the vineyards while other people sit in traffic. And
well, I hope to God I get to eat fried eggs with you sometime down the road.
Dude, anytime. I'm going nowhere.
Okay, well, that's a date.
Thanks a lot. Awesome. No worries. Thanks.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.